Hello everybody and welcome back. As always, my name is Addie and I am the host of the Knits by AJ knitting podcast, although today I'm not doing a knitting podcast. I am going to be finally sitting down and filming my autumn knitting plans for 2025. So I've been trying to film this for, I'd say, like at least the past week and a half. This is the third time I've sat down to film this, because the first time I filmed it without any sound because I forgot to turn my microphone on. The second time I managed to turn my microphone on, but I had it clipped to my jumper a little bit too high up, so every time I moved it made like this kind of like squeaking and crackly sound. So now I'm trying again for the third time, so hopefully this time actually works and I can get this video up to YouTube and I'm not just sitting in a room talking to myself for an hour. So yeah, without further waffle, let's get into some plans for autumn. So I have put these into like 3 different categories. So I've got like ongoing plans, like things that I am actively working on at the moment, have been working on for a while, and I just need to get them finished. And then I've got back from the dead plans, which is things that I have been working on previously, and then I've put them in this basket over here to essentially live out their days unfinished. So this is like my whip graveyard essentially. And I want to get through some of the bits in there this season so that I can actually get them off the needles and get them worn. And then the last thing I have is like new project plans, things that I've bought yarn for that I haven't cast on yet and want to get done over the next couple of months. So yeah, without any further waffle, let's get into the first category that I have today, which is my ongoing plans. So first up, I have a project that if you've been here for any amount of time, then you will have seen before. So this is my Northeasterly blanket by SKEINANIGANS. So this is a fingering weight garter stitch blanket that I'm making with my advent from 2024, which was the Skein and the Stitch. What was it? Skein and the Stitch Daily Advent on her natural 4-ply base, which is a 100% non-superwash merino, and yeah, it was themed on Alice in Wonderland, and it was a fade, and I've had this on my needles for what feels like an absolute age. I cast this on like December the 1st last year, the first day I opened the advent, and it's just been lingering and I just want to get it done. So this is what it's looking like at the moment. And I need to just finish up. So essentially I decided to knit through the advent 4 times. So I was using like essentially a quarter of the yarn each time. So I'm on the 3rd run through and I'm on like the second half of the advent. I'm on like day 14, I think. So I just need to finish up like the last 10 days of the 3rd run through, and then I just need to do the 4th, which I don't think is unachievable in the next couple of months. I just need to actually like motivate myself to sit down and do this. So yeah, I want to get it done because I don't want to have more than one advent project on the go, and I have ordered some advents for this year. So yeah, I want to get this done. So that is plan number 1. Plan number 2 is to also continue with another advent project. So if you have watched the last couple of episodes of my podcast, then you'll know that I am making little knitted ornaments for my daughter to have in her advent calendar this year, so that she can have a little sort of knitted ornament to open every day and then pop them on her Christmas tree. And so far I have made 9 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. So I've made 9 of these so far. So I've still got 15 left to make, so that I've got one for every day of the advent, and it's a 24-day advent. So I've got this little pretzel so far, this tree, a donut, a little golden retriever, the ice cream that I showed last week, the Christmas caramel, a little heart with her initial on, and this little mountain, and then another one that I worked up that I guess you're getting a little sneak peek for because I haven't showed it on a podcast yet is this little candy cane. So I'm not really going for any kind of like round baubles at the moment. I probably will end up having to do some of those at some point, but I thought these little kind of novelty shaped ones were quite cute, and I'm adding like beads and bells and things onto them like as and when I think that's kind of appropriate. So yeah, I want to continue on with that. I'm trying to not have any repeats. I'm trying not to have any repeats, but I will probably end up repeating this one, but knitting it so that it looks like our Cocker Spaniel. So she's got one of each of the dogs to go on there. But yeah, I'm trying to do them all differently so that it's not like she's just got like a pack of baubles. Like they've all got a little bit of a kind of different charm to them. So yeah, I want to continue on with that. I'm doing mostly free patterns. I think this one was a paid pattern. I think all of the rest of them have been free, which has been quite nice. So yeah, if you guys have any like free novelty little stuffies, like Christmas themed stuffies, or any ornament patterns that you've knit before or that you really like the look of that you want to recommend, please do leave them in the comments for me, because I'm always looking for new ones to add to my ever growing list of ones to knit up. And so yeah, I want to carry on with that so that I can hopefully get all 24 done for her for December 1st. I don't really want to be knitting them in December. I want to be knitting other things. So yeah, that is a big plan for autumn. And the last of my like ongoing plans is to finish my current test knit, which is the Edale Sweater for Iris of HIRIS Makes. And this is the only test knit that I'm doing this year. I'm not really intending to pick up any more. I wasn't really intending to pick up any test knits, but I saw this and I just couldn't resist. So yeah, this is an all over stockinette and 2x2 rib raglan. And I think this is just an absolutely stunning autumn knit. So it's got this really lovely like 2x2 rib high neck, and you then carry the ribbing from the neckline down into the raglan, and then you increase the sleeves and they kind of like appear out of the ribbing, and then that rib detail carries on down the body and the sleeve. So you get this like completely seamless armhole where the ribbing just continues straight up. And then there'll be a split hem at the bottom. So I think this is going to be really easy to style in autumn. Like you can dress it up with like a skirt and boots, or you can dress it down, put it on with some leggings and some trainers for a really quick, like easygoing outfit. I think it's just going to be a real staple piece. It's so simple and classic that I feel like it's going to be one of those things that will just live in your wardrobe forever and be really easy to just chuck on as and when with anything. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to having this finished. The yarns that I'm using are absolutely beautiful. So my main sort of like thicker strand is Filcolana Saga in the colour medium grey, which is a lovely like mild medium grey. It's 100% lamb's wool. It's really, really soft and squishy, and it's like a woolen spun yarn. So it really blooms up when you wash and block it. I really, really love this yarn. I've used it before in a couple of things. My Ivy top by Iris, again, I used it in, and I think I've used it in a couple of accessories as well. But yeah, I really, really love this yarn. I'm really happy to be working with it again. But this time I am holding it with another strand to create this lovely lightweight jumper. And I'm holding it with a strand of Filcolana Alva, which is their 100% alpaca. And it's just creating this really lovely, like delicate halo. The Alva is in the colour charcoal, in case you were wondering. So yeah, it's got this really lovely little halo over it, but not too fuzzy. I am quite sensitive to mohair, so I don't tend to wear it very often. I also don't really like knitting with it because it makes me sneeze. So yeah, I am very, very happy to have found something that kind of allows me to work with a strand of something fuzzy, but isn't going to irritate me. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this. The test deadline is like the beginning of October, so I do need to get a wiggle on with this, but I have already picked up for my first sleeve. So I don't anticipate this taking me too long to knit. And yeah, so like I say, the test deadline is the beginning of October. So I don't expect that this will be out too far after then. And so you guys should then be able to pick up the pattern and knit your own fairly soon. I don't think it will be out too late afterwards. I think I've dropped a ball of yarn. Yeah. So yeah, that was all of my like ongoing plans. Next up, I've got my back from the dead plans. So first up is a hat. I'm really trying to focus on quite a lot of accessories over the next couple of months. I feel like I'm kind of missing out on a couple, and the ones that I do have, I'm not really reaching for anymore. So I think they need a little bit of a refresh. So back in the spring, I started a Manhattan hat by TORI, and I never finished it. So I would like to try and get this finished now that we are heading back into hat season. We've just come out of like some particularly windy weather, and I really suffer with like headaches when there's a lot of wind going past my ears. So I'm really looking forward to being able to get my hats back out again. And I wanted to kind of update my like ribbed hat that I wear all the time. I have a weekend hat by Petite Knit that I knit up in like a really dark royal blue. I think it was in Peer Gynt, but I could be wrong. It could be Peruvian Highland wool, but it feels more like Peer Gynt by Sandnes Garn. And I just want something that's a little bit more colourful. So I decided to cast one on back in the spring in this really lovely variegated green. This is Bellica Yarns Merino DK. It's a 100% superwash merino, I believe. So it's not going to be my warmest hat. I never find that superwash is particularly warm, but I do think that it's going to be a really nice layer because the Manhattan hat has like a triple folded brim. So it should be keeping the wind off of my ears. And then I've got other hats that I can wear in like the absolute dead of winter when it's really, really cold. But yeah, this will be really good for the autumn when it's windy, but it's not like really, really cold. So yeah, this is what it's looking like knit up. I haven't got too much left to knit on this. I think I'm about 15 to 20 centimeters through the ribbed portion, and I'm pretty sure that you have to knit like 30 or 35 centimeters of rib before you start doing the crown decreases. And so yeah, I don't have a huge amount left to go on this. The thing that really drew me to this pattern over the weekend hat was the really kind of cool looking decreases at the crown. So the problem I have with my weekend hat is that it kind of, when you block it, you obviously block it flat and it wants to sit flat, but you always get a bit where, because it's got a 4-point crown on it, you get a point where it kind of wants to sort of twist and the crown doesn't sit straight. And I want it to kind of sit flat on my head like the Manhattan hat does. And because it's only got increases on like 2 sides instead of a 4-point decrease, it does sit like that. So I think it's going to be much easier to just shove it on and kind of get that sort of flat pointy bit on the top of my head that I'm kind of looking for. I like how my hats to have a bit of height because I always feel like I look a bit like an egg if I don't have some sort of slouch or something going on with my hats. So yeah, I really wanted to give this hat pattern a go and see if it kind of hit the sort of size and shape that I'm looking for. So this pattern is available in loads and loads of sizes. It's in baby to adult large, and it's a DK weight to worsted pattern. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting this going again. And I think it's going to be a really easy, like on the go knit. So yeah, that is the first project I'm bringing back. And the second one is one that I cast on at a really similar time to the Manhattan hat. If you guys have been long-standing viewers, then you will remember that in the spring I did start the Gr8 Gingham Raglan by Jessie May, and this is as far as I got. So I got both the sleeves started. So it's a bottom up oversized cropped raglan, and I decided to make a couple of sort of not real alterations, but I wanted to make things a little bit easier for me to alter if I wanted to further down the line. So I decided not to do the ribbing because what the pattern asks you to do is to like do your cast on, knit your ribbing, and then knit your colour work. I didn't know how long I wanted my sleeves to be, and I always get a bit worried with bottom up raglans and things that you don't really know where the yoke is going to sit. And I just wasn't 100% confident. I wanted to allow myself a little bit more wiggle room when it comes to length. So I did provisional cast-ons, and I will probably end up doing the same in the body. I also want to make mine longer. There are notes in the pattern to do that, so I will be doing that, but I'm not sure if I'm going to run out of yarn. The yarns that I'm using are Yarbo 2TR Ull, which is a pure wool yarn. It's a sport weight, and you get 100 grams to 300. You get 300 meters to 100 grams. So this is my. I think this is going to be my main color. I think this is the other thing. I couldn't decide whether or not I wanted this to be my main color or if I wanted this to be my main color. So I kind of wanted to like knit the main bulk of the jumper and then first of all see which one of these yarns I had left, like had most left of, and then kind of make my decision as to whether or not I wanted it to be like a red jumper with pink colour work or a pink jumper with red colour work. So yeah, I haven't fully decided which one of these I want to do my ribbing in. I'm not sure if I want to like mix and match and do like the ribbing at the sleeves in a different colour to the like body and the neck, or yeah, I'm just not sure. So I've allowed myself some wiggle room in that, but I really want to get this finished now. I think it's going to be a really great autumn layer because it's not, although it is colour work and it's all over colour work, so it's kind of like a double layered jumper, I don't think it's going to be like ridiculously warm because it's knit in sport weight yarn instead of like a worsted or a full DK. So it's a little bit less dense and the gauge is still quite, I wouldn't say it's loose, but it's like 22 stitches. So it's not really, really tight sort of colour work gauge. It's still quite loose and airy. And I think the pink and red are going to be a nice like pop of colour in the sort of like dreary grey days that we're going to end up with sort of close to the end of November. And I think it will carry me through like winter and spring quite nicely as well. So yeah, I want to get this back on the needles. I think I'm doing size 1, the extra small. I'm pretty sure I am. Yeah, I think I'm doing size 1. So that should give me like 20 to 25 centimeters of positive ease. So it'll be a nice kind of oversized fit as well. So yeah, that is my plan for my Gr8 Gingham. And hopefully it won't live in the like whip graveyard for too long. And that is everything that I've got from my like backed from the dead plans. So the last like category of plans that I've got is new project plans. So these are all things that I've bought yarn for recently that I haven't cast on yet and I am looking to cast on in the not so distant future. So first up, I've been trying to kind of pick where the holes are in my knitted wardrobe, and the big hole that I have at the moment is that I don't actually have a scarf that I reach for, and I feel like we're heading into scarf season. So this year I need a scarf. And I was looking through various different patterns. I was trying to find something that had a bit of texture so it was going to be interesting to knit, but also like able to be reversible. So it didn't matter which way I threw it on in the morning. It would still look great either way. And I was looking at things like the Sophie shawl and a couple of like cable or lace designs from Sari Nordland, and nothing was really leaping out at me. And then I saw the Stay Extra Toasty scarf by VERONIKA LINDBERG or Kutova Kika. And I thought, actually, you know what, that's perfect. So it's rib and garter stitch with an I-cord border. And I think there's a smaller version of this as well, but I really wanted something that was going to like cover the back of my neck and not really leave any gaps or anything, but also look great on its own with like just a jumper or something. So yeah, I decided to go for the bigger version. And it's a DK weight pattern, 21 stitches, 29 rows. Although I think this is one where gauge isn't really going to be a massive factor if you don't mind whether or not it's a little bit smaller than what the pattern suggests. I have overbought on yarn on this, so I don't really mind. I think it's going to be fine for me to just knit to the length that I want. And whatever I get width-wise is just an added bonus. So I am going to be using a couple of sort of my like dream yarns that I've not used before, but I think are going to make this a really lovely kind of soft squidgy scarf and a real like delight to put around your neck in the winter and probably the late autumn. So my like main yarn that I'm going to be using is the Biche & Bouche Le Petit Lamb's Wool in the colour white. Oh, that's very, there we go. Sorry, I film in front of a window, so often things are getting blown out at the moment. So yeah, this is my kind of like main skein. I got 2 balls of this. It's a fingering weight lamb's wool, and you get 248 meters per, is this 100 grams? 50 grams. Yeah, 248 meters per 50 grams. So yeah, it's a fairly kind of substantial fingering weight. I think this is going to bloom really nicely, a bit like how the Saga from Filcolana blooms. And so, yeah, I think this is going to make it a really kind of like lightweight but warm scarf. But like I've said before, the Stay Extra Toasty scarf is a DK weight. So I'm going to be holding it with this skein of cashmere lace from Chromanima that I received in the podcaster goodie bag from East Anglia Yarn Festival. So this is like an off-white greyish toned, like almost, it's like almost like a greyish toned beige. So next to the white, they are obviously slightly different colours, but this has got this amazing splodge of indigo in the middle of it. So I think it's just going to add a little bit of interest to the scarf, and kind of add to the little bits of texture in there as well. So I'm really looking forward to getting this cast on, and seeing how that cashmere knits up, because the splodge is like kind of like just in the middle. So I want to see how frequently you get the bits of blue and whether it comes out in speckles or stripes or however. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to knitting these up into that scarf and having like a really luxurious scarf on those days where I'm literally just doing the school run and walking the dog, but feel a little bit fancy whilst I'm doing it in my cashmere scarf. So yeah, that is plan number 1. Next is another accessory, but actually not for me. So last year I knit up my husband a pair of fingerless gloves. They look like this. And I used a skein of cashmere that I picked up at the Knitting and Stitching show. And I used the CLARAS Playtime Mittens pattern by AIMEE SHER. And he absolutely loves these. He wears them a lot, but did decide towards the end of the winter that his fingers were getting a little bit too cold and that he would like a full pair of gloves. So again, whilst I was at East Anglia Yarn Festival, I got him to pick out a skein of yarn so that he could have some full length gloves. And he chose this skein from Needle and Thread, and it's their BFL DK. So it's 225 meters per 100 grams, and it's 100% BFL. I believe it's non-superwash. And so I'm going to be knitting up another pair of CLARAS Playtime Mittens, but I'm not going to do the mittens pattern. I'm going to use the modifications that I made to make his fingerless gloves, but instead of doing ribbing and finishing the fingers short, I'll just continue them up and make them into full length gloves and just do some decreases and sort of thread the yarn through and pull it tight so that it comes out as like a finger shape. Because I don't see the point in buying a pair, like a gloves pattern, if I already know that these fit him really well and he really likes wearing them. So I might as well just alter the pattern a little bit more and make him another pair. So that is plan number 2. Oh, and this yarn didn't come with a colourway. I'll see if I can find it online and link it down below. As with all the patterns, makers, everything that I mentioned today, it will all be linked down in the description box below if you did want to check any of it out. But yeah, this didn't come with a colourway name on it, so I can't tell you what it is because I don't know. So whilst we're on the theme of fingerless gloves, I also want to make myself a pair this year. I feel like I'm missing like accessories at the moment. So when we were in London recently, I picked up 2 skeins of yarn to make myself a pair of fingerless gloves. I haven't actually come up with a pattern that I want to knit for these fingerless gloves. I just know that I want a pair of fingerless gloves. So yeah, I always find it hard to pick a fingerless mitten or glove pattern for myself because I have quite small hands. And often I find that they end up a little bit too baggy on my hands and things like that. So, and I just haven't found a pattern that I love yet. So I don't know, I guess I'm kind of asking, do you guys have a favourite fingerless mitten or fingerless glove pattern that you've knit lots of times before, that you kind of swear by, that you'd like to recommend? Because at this point I've tried a couple and I just haven't really found one that I absolutely love yet, and I'd love some recommendations. So the yarns that I picked up are Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino in the colour Lime Yellow. I did try and pick up the merino, but they don't actually do it in this colour, so I decided to just go for the cotton merino because I wanted them to be quite hard wearing as well, and since I'm going to be holding them with a strand of baby Suri alpaca, I thought that's probably going to make up for anything that this lacks in warmth. So the other skein that I picked up was Fibre Space Cumulus, which is a 74% baby Suri alpaca, 26% mulberry silk, and it's a little fingering weight fluff. I've never used Suri before, but oh, this is so soft. And so hopefully this will kind of help fill in any kind of lack of warmth that this has, but also fill in the gaps that I might get between the stitches and everything so that they're quite windproof. So those are my yarns. So I'm guessing I'm looking for a like fingering weight, not finger weight, sorry, sport weight or DK weight fingerless mitten pattern. So if you guys have any recommendations, then please do let me know. So I guess that's plan number 3. And then next up is a jumper pattern that I want to get knit up over the next couple of months, but it actually hasn't been released yet. The designer says that it should be released next week. So I really want to make the Peatlands Sweater by COCOAMOUR Knitwear. So this is a DK weight colourwork round yoked jumper. And I just thought it was absolutely stunning. I just really, really like this design. I have bought enough yarn to make size 2, but having had another look at what I can see from the like advertisement for the test knit that went live a couple of months ago, I think I am probably going to end up knitting this off gauge, so knit size 1 instead of size 2. So I also want to change up the sort of way that the colourwork goes. I really, really like the colourwork. I think it's a really nice kind of like simple, elegant design. And I think it's an absolutely stunning kind of use of colours in the sample. The like browns and sort of caramels, I think are really very autumnal and just absolutely stunning. Although if you've been here for a while, you know that I am not very good with brown. I just have rarely used brown. I don't really wear a lot of brown. So I have chosen colours that are complete opposites to the sample photo, but that's the joy of knitting really, isn't it? So I want to change up the colourwork in this. As you can see, the designer has used 3 different colours in the colourwork, one being like the main colour, and I want to use 2 colours in the colourwork and then have a different colour as the main colour. And I've chosen my yarns so that I think that that's going to be okay to look at and not too jarring, like it'll still look like I'm using the same yarn. So the like main colour that I chose for my version of this is Pea Shoots by Knitting for Olive on their heavy merino base. I love this. I think this is possibly one of like my favourite greens. I know I've said that for a lot of other greens, but this is like my favourite kind of bright green. It's just really nice and like mossy, but also quite vibrant. And I've not used the heavy merino before, but I am looking forward to giving it a go. It feels very much like the merino from Knitting for Olive. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this kind of like holds up compared to the merino, because the merino just never pills. And I kind of expect this to have the same kind of effect, but it's also just so soft. And yeah, I just really want to try this out. So for the actual colourwork yoke, I have picked up 2 different yarns. So I've picked up one skein of the Telling Yarns Steadfast DK, which is 50% BFL, 30% Romney, 15% Masham, and 5% Zouable. I think it's Zouable. I could be saying that wrong. But yeah, I got one of those in the colour Rose Hip. So this is going to be like my background colour for all of the colour work. And then for like the contrast in the colour work, I grabbed 2 skeins of the River Knits Chimera DK in the colour Rainforest. So there are like hints of the pea shoots in this. And so I thought if I do this for the contrast in the colour work with this base, then I transition to this for like the main sort of body and sleeves of the jumper. Then I don't have to worry about 3 different colours. I don't have to worry about an excessive amount of ends. And I think it's just going to work really nicely and be a really nice, like vibrant, bright jumper for autumn and spring and winter. And just be a little bit different. So that's the only jumper pattern that I have on my plans for this season, although I do have 2 that I need to finish. So I think that's going to carry me through the next couple of months quite nicely. And who knows what's going to be released in the next couple of weeks. I might suddenly see something that I absolutely love and feel like I need to add that to my list as well. So I'm kind of leaving myself open for like new autumn releases, but also not trying to put too much pressure on myself to knit like 15 jumpers in one season. And so the last 2 things that I have for my plans for the next coming months are 2 pairs of colourwork socks. So I've got 1 pair for my husband and 1 pair for myself planned. Both patterns are by Charlotte Stone of Stone Knits, who I absolutely love. I have her charming colourwork socks book, although neither of these patterns are actually in that book, which in hindsight would probably have been a good idea to pick something from that book, but here we are. So the first pair that I have planned is for my husband, and they're actually going to be one of his Christmas presents for this year. So every year I knit him a jumper. I always knit him the same jumper. I'll probably do it again. I have some yarn in my stash over here for it. But I wanted to also knit him some socks this year because he always asks for new because he always asks for new knitted socks, and I don't think I've knit him any like all over colourwork ones yet, which I think will be so nice and warm and cozy for him. So the pattern I want to knit up for my husband is the You Silly Goose socks by Stone Knits, and I'm not really even sure where it started from now, but we have a bit of a running joke that geese are my husband's friends, and so I thought it'd be really funny to knit him up a pair of You Silly Goose socks to kind of just play on that ridiculous family joke that we have. So I've picked out a couple of yarns for these, and I think they kind of work with my husband's colour palette. So for like the main background colour, I have got a skein of the West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply in the colour Dusty Miller. I think this is going to be a really nice kind of like stormy grey backdrop for the geese and kind of work with the stormy grey skies that we have here in like the autumn winter. We also have like a lake quite close to us where geese live, so often we get them flying over. So I think it'll kind of work quite nicely with that. And then for the geese, you're kind of hemmed in on what colours you can use. So I've got some drop snored in white, orange and black to do the geese. And I'm really looking forward to knitting up some colourwork socks. I haven't done any in a little while, and yeah, I've kind of been feeling the itch to get back to some colourwork. Especially colourwork socks recently. So I'm very much looking forward to doing those. I'll do the medium size, I think, because me and my husband have the same like foot circumference. His is just longer. So yeah, if he doesn't like these socks, then at least I can pull them back and I can wear them myself. So yeah, that is the first pair of colourwork socks that I want to knit up this season. And the next set is for myself, but these are not going to be for Christmas. I want to knit these up for Halloween. So I purchased the spooky sock set. So you get 2 patterns in this sock set. You get one that's got witches on and then one that's got ghosts. And I want to knit myself up another pair of ghost socks because I love my other pair. I just want a different pair. So I have kind of decided to go a little bit off theme and pick a really bright kind of pastel background colour instead of a like moody Halloweeny colour. And the yarns that I've chosen are the Knitcraft The Perfect Pair in the colour Pastel Stripe. I grabbed this for like £4.50 in Hobbycraft. I think it's their own brand yarn. And I'm knitting up a pair of socks at the moment for my husband in another colourway of this yarn, and I think it's working out really nicely. So I think this will work quite well for the ghosts, for the background of the ghosts. And then I'll use the leftover drop snored in white to knit the ghosts. So I think it's going to be a nice kind of like pastel Halloweeny pair of socks. I'll probably end up wearing them all year round, but I thought it might just be fun to knit up a pair in a like non-Halloween colourway. So then I've got like a moody green pair that I knit last year, and then I've got a like bright colourful pastel pair that I knit this year. So that is everything that I have for my autumn knitting plans this year. I do have one sewing project that I want to get to fairly quickly over the season. And again, I am choosing to make something in a bluey fabric for my daughter. So if you watched my autumn knitting plans video from last year, you'll know that I wanted to make her a Halloween dress in a bluey fabric, and this year I want to make her a kit bag by Rosie Caldwell out of this bingo fabric. So this is a quilted kit bag. It's like a play on the kind of standard gym bag. It's like a round design. It's got loads of pockets. It's got loads of bits and places to put all your bits and bobs. And my main use case for this is for my daughter's swimming lessons, because she doesn't have a dedicated bag, and I wanted something that was going to be easy to like put everything in a different pocket, so it's easy for her to find, get changed and everything really quickly. And yeah, I just thought it might be fun to do a nice little kind of themed bag so that she knows which one's hers. There's no way it's going to get mixed up with anybody else's. So the main fabric that I chose for this bag was this quilting cotton that I got from Rainbow Fabrics in their recent sale, and it's got bingo on it. So yeah, I'm sure it'll be very popular with her and her friends. So that is the outer fabric that I've chosen. And then for the lining, I chose this also bluey fabric that has all of the family members on there. I know I wanted a light colour for the inside of the bag, so there was no way that things were going to get lost. And I hate it when you have a dark inside of a bag. I feel like it's really hard to find anything in there. So yeah, I knew I wanted a lighter colour for the insides of the bag and all the pockets and everything. And then I also picked up some hardware. So I grabbed some of the like bag hardware from a shop on Etsy in like this kind of brushed copper. And then I also grabbed some electric? And then I also grabbed some elastic cord and some toggles so that I can put the like elastic string bit on the side so that she can put her water bottle in there or her swimming hat or whatever. So yeah, essentially I just wanted to make another bag. I'm really in the mood to sew a bag. I might also make some project bags for some of my upcoming projects, because there are never enough project bags hanging around my house and I have a load of leftover fabric. So yeah, I might also make some quilted project bags, but that's the only sewing plan I have for the next couple of months. I don't know, I feel like I've kind of lost my like sewing mojo recently, but hopefully kind of making some bags might bring it back. I don't know, maybe. But that is everything I have planned for autumn 2025. I would love to know what you guys have got planned for the upcoming season, be it autumn or spring, depending on whichever hemisphere you're in. I always love to know what other people's plans are. Like, are you starting your gift knitting early, or are you fully in like a make for myself era? I don't know. I just love to know. I'm nosy. Let me know. But yeah, thank you also very much for watching and hanging out with me whilst I've waffled on about things that I should hopefully get done over the next couple of months. And if you have enjoyed this video, please feel free to give it a like. If you're new here and you want to hang around and see how many of these things actually come to fruition, then please do consider subscribing, and I will catch up with you all in another podcast episode fairly soon. Happy making!